The film begins by showing a couple, named Adam and Sophie. They are attending an interview session at a local television station. You need to know, their name has now become a trending topic thanks to the film they starred in. Among the people, they are known as a very romantic couple. One day when they were about to continue shooting a film, Sophie saw Adam with another woman in the dressing room. Sophie, who saw this incident, felt amused and immediately vomited. Hearing this incident, Sophie and Adam's manager had to find a way to prevent this news from being heard by the public, because if this bad news spread, then the film, which was on the rise, would sink, and it was possible that Adam's career would also be destroyed. Then we are shown a man who is cooking to serve to a tourist staying there. The man's name is Alejandro, who lives in Mexico. Not only that, he also works at one of the well-known hotels in Mexico. Meanwhile, Sophie and team are on their way to Mexico to continue shooting their film, but before that they will rest at a hotel, and coincidentally that hotel is where Alejandro works. There Alejandro was assigned to accompany the Sophie team because the previous employee had been fired. At first he refused, but after his boss made several threats, he finally agreed. Alejandro then checked the room Sophie was going to stay in. At that time he realized that there were no towels there. He immediately ran out to bring towels. When Sophie and Rachel entered the room, they enjoyed the beautiful view outside the room. Because she was thirsty, Rachel went out to get a drink for Sophie, and when Rachel came out, Sophie immediately took a shower. Alejandro, who was busy, went inside without permission, and when he was about to put down the towel, he was surprised to find that someone was already inside. Of course this made Sophie angry. She felt that Alejandro had deliberately entered the room to peek at her. He did not accept this accusation. Alejandro tried to explain that he just wanted to keep the towel there, and he didn't know that someone was already in there. Sophie finally understood. She immediately asked Alejandro for a towel. After that, Alejandro came out and didn't forget to say, "If you need anything, just call." Currently Sophie is enjoying the cool nature in Mexico, but not long after Sophie was called by her manager. She asked Sophie not to post news about Adam, because if the news leaks then the progress of the film will decrease. Sophie then continued shooting the film with Adam. She spent time on the set until midnight. After Sophie arrived at the hotel, she met Alejandro. Then Sophie asked to prepare food for her. Alejandro immediately brought the menu notes there, but he said that currently the kitchen in the hotel was closed, because she couldn't control hunger. Sophie finally went to the kitchen to look for food. And it turns out Alejandro was there. Coincidentally Sophie can't cook. She asked Alejandro to make her a vegetarian sandwich, and yes, Alejandro would be happy to make it. There they talked a lot about their lives. At that time Alejandro talked about the dreams he wanted to achieve. It turned out he had a dream of having his own hotel that prioritized comfort for its guests. In free time, Alejandro took the time to watch the film starring Sophie, and yes, Alejandro really liked the film. The next day Sophie was seen looking at the sights near the hotel. There she met Alejandro. Sophie asked Alejandro to accompany her for a walk, and Alejandro was happy to accompany for a walk and show her some quite interesting places. They agreed to meet at the appointed place tomorrow evening at 12 o'clock. The day passed. Now they have met at the place they promised yesterday. At that time they looked very awkward, maybe because this was their first time going out. They finally arrived at a live music event, where Alejandro dared to ask Sophie to dance. It can be seen from their faces that they are really enjoying this moment. They are dancing with full happiness. After finishing, Sophie was very grateful to Alejandro because tonight she had given happiness. Then Adam was seen approaching Sophie. He wanted to apologize for his actions a few days ago. He promised not to do it again and would immediately improve himself. However, at that time Sophie couldn't forgive Adam because Adam's actions that day had hurt Sophie. The next night, Alejandro tried to invite Sophie to swim. Sophie, who was starting to be interested in Alejandro, couldn't refuse him. Now they are starting to get closer, and now they are seen practicing acting in Sophie's room, but while they are practicing suddenly there is a knock on the door. Not wanting to be a problem, Alejandro immediately hides behind the window. It turned out that the person who wanted to give Sophie a gift was the hotel manager there. Unexpectedly, Alejandro's communication device rang. The manager almost noticed it, and fortunately he turned off the device in time. After they left, Sophie talked about her relationship with Adam. She said that was no longer dating Adam. She also said that Adam had wasted his loyalty, and what was seen in public was just a pretense. Hearing Sophie's story, Alejandro tried to cheer her up by inviting Sophie to watch a film. At that time Alejandro was about to hug Sophie, but suddenly his communication device rang again. Of course this made Sophie annoyed and disappointed, so Sophie asked Alejandro to take her to a place where no one could disturb her. The next day Alejandro and Sophie will go somewhere without anyone knowing, there isn't even a cell phone signal. While on the trip they look very happy. After traveling quite a distance, they finally arrived at a beautiful beach. They rushed to prepare a place to relax while looking at the beautiful scenery on the beach. Rachel and everyone at the hotel are now worried about Sophie. The manager is very worried about Sophie's safety. She took the initiative to report it to the police. In the afternoon, accompanied by a bonfire, Sophie stated that during her time as an actress, she was actually very depressed. Then Alejandro said that he had now become Sophie's admirer in the real world. Hearing Alejandro Sophie's words, she felt very happy. Time passed so quickly. Sophie woke up from sleep. She realized that shouldn't have stayed at the beach, and they hurriedly prepared to go back to the hotel. Sophie apparently blamed Alejandro for taking her to the beach, where Alejandro tried to calm Sophie. Arriving at the hotel, Sophie was immediately scolded by her manager because she had missed the opportunity to become a Hollywood star. Sophie apologized to the manager, but he continued to grumble, and after he left, Sophie and Rachel laughed. They never cared about that, and according to him Sophie's happiness was more important than everything. Tonight Adam and Sophie were holding an interview session. It appeared that there were no problems between them, but after the event was over they showed that it was true that there were problems between them. Meanwhile, Alejandro has now received a message from Sophie and asked to meet her at the beach. At that time, Alejandro concluded that Sophie would be angry, but at that time his friend concluded that the message indicated that Sophie actually loved Alejandro. And sure enough, after they met on the beach, Sophie immediately apologized to Alejandro, and not only that, she also explained that now the fake relationship with Adam had ended. Sophie then invited Alejandro to go on holiday to New York, but at that time Alejandro refused because this week he had to go to Mexico City to attend his sister's birthday celebration. Hearing this, Sophie wanted to go there, and intended to get to know a little about Alejandro's family. Now they are going to Alejandro's house, but before that he took Sophie to see several places in Mexico, and what Sophie never expected was that there were many people there who were his fans. Now they have arrived at Alejandro's house. He then introduced Sophie to his family, and yes, everyone welcomed Sophie warmly. Then the mother invited Alejandro to the kitchen. There the mother asked about Sophie, then Alejandro explained a little about the beginning of his introduction. When they gathered, Alejandro's father came with his fiancée, and at that time he approached Sophie and the father recognized Sophie because he often saw him on TV. When Sophie went to the toilet, his father asked about his relationship with Sophie. There he said that Sophie was in a different class from Alejandro, because he didn't want to argue. Alejandro said that Sophie was just an ordinary tourist. It's a shame that Sophie heard these words. She felt offended by these words and felt disrespected by Alejandro. Not wanting it to become a long-lasting problem, Alejandro said it was just a joke and aimed to avoid a fight with his father. Now news of Sophie and Alejandro's closeness is spreading in various media, and now Alejandro is being asked to take responsibility for his behavior. Because of his actions, Alejandro could have been fired for violating hotel rules. He will meet Sophie on the shooting location. When Alejandro arrived there, he met Rachel to ask for help in meeting Sophie, but there Rachel still doubted Alejandro. She asked, "Do you really love Sophie?" With full confidence, Alejandro stated that he really loves Sophie at the moment. While looking for Sophie, Alejandro accidentally meets Adam. There Adam asked about his feelings for Sophie. Of course Alejandro answered that he really loved Sophie. Finally Adam gave him his mask and told Alejandro to meet Sophie. Alejandro has now entered the shooting location. When he met Sophie he immediately took off his mask, and immediately apologized and expressed his heart that he had been holding back, but it turned out that Sophie actually rejected Alejandro's love. She was still because he thought he was just ordinary tourist. The next day, after being disappointed, Alejandro decided to move from there, but when he opened the door he found Sophie in front of him. She asked, "Are you moving?" And yes, Alejandro stated that he would move to San Miguel. Hearing this Sophie suddenly remembered when they were talking in the kitchen, and yes, that made them start to fall in love again, and there Sophie said that she also loved Alejandro. And the film ends.